It's the middle of the week, and it's time for the Champions League. An Arsenal watch-along tonight. The last time I did a watch-along on this channel to Arsenal, it ended in absolute disaster. Hanno was quite happy. I was not. Hopefully, we're going to see a different ending tonight. It's the Champions League over here on the Coach's Corner, and as always, you are all welcome. Yes, people, and the title says it all. Arsenal FC against Sevilla CF, live from the Emirates Stadium in London. And I've got pictures on my television right now. Obviously, there is no national anthem to be played, but there is the impressive Champions League anthem. And of course, for many Arsenal fans, it was worth finishing second, even if it meant bottling the league, just to supposedly hear the music again. Now, the only question is, will we continue to hear this music beyond the group stage? Definitely, I don't see us qualifying for the quarterfinals, given the way we're playing. And as we will discuss in the team news, we've actually got a few problems of our own. I am going to show you the tables, of course, and you can see where Arsenal are. Arsenal, of course, are in Group B. And I will share the screen in a minute, and here we are. So as you can see, after 3 games played, Arsenal's record is played 3, won 2, and lost 1. That one coming to Lens in France in game week 2. We did actually recover by beating tonight's opponents, Sevilla, in Spain. And as it stands, both Sevilla and PSV Eindhoven are propping up the table with 2 points each. However, with our injury problems, as I'll discuss in a minute in the team news, we can ill afford to lose tonight, because if Sevilla manage to beat us and Lens also win, then Sevilla go up to 5 points. We're still on 6, and we will still, for what it's worth, be second in the table. But, we have to do everything we can to ensure qualification from the group stage. And given our team news, it's not going to be easy. Now, you take a look at the starting lineup that don't like this ridiculous advertisement, but it is what it is. This is the lineup that Mikel Arteta's got out for tonight. Obviously, Raya will be in goal, and of course, this probably will be our best back four. I despise the sight of a right-footed defender playing at left back, whether it's Dennis Irwin or Tomiyasu or anyone else, but at least Tomiyasu is clearly established to be a better defender than Alexander Zinchenko, so he takes his place. And of course, this is, for the moment, for all intents and purposes, our first choice back four, and Tomiyasu has been quite impressive in that position. And it's still the same midfield three of Kai Havertz, Jorginho, and Declan Rice. And sadly, that means that once again, Jorginho will captain the team, despite having a horror show against West Ham in the League Cup and not really being able to take the game by the scruff of the neck against Newcastle, with that honour, of course, being given to Declan Rice. Now, Havertz played on the left, and now he's starting on the right. He's an awful player, and his play is just not all right, for want of a nicer word. But for better or worse, Eddie Nketiah is injured, so that means that Leandro Trossard will be starting up front as the false 9, wearing the number 19. And Martinelli and Saka on the wings. Hopefully, from an Arsenal point of view, they will not be nullified the way they were against Newcastle. And on the bench, the likes of Kyrgios, Cedric Suarez, Fabio Vieira, Reece Nelson, Mohamed El Neni, Carl Hayne, one of the reserve goalkeepers, along with Aaron Ramsdale, Zinchenko, along with Amario Cozier-Duberry and Charles Sago. This is probably the strongest starting lineup we could pick for tonight, given our injury problems. And Sevilla aren't without any problems of their own, because they will be missing 3 of their first teamers. The former Aston Villa goalkeeper Orjan Nyland is not playing tonight. Neither is World Cup winner Marcos Acuna. And crucially, or not, neither is Sergio Ramos. And Diego Alonso seems to have put out a rather weakened team for tonight. A nice 4-2-3-1 formation he's got going here. But as we can see on the bench, before we take a look at it, he's opted to rest the likes of Ivan Rakitic, Jesus Navas, and Lucas Ocampos. 3 people who would normally be starting every week. And Nyland obviously is injured, so the Serbian Dimitrovic, who was second choice last season to Yasin Buno, who has since gone to Al Hilal, and started the season the second choice behind Nyland, is now getting a start tonight. And pretty good venue for him to play, the Emirates Stadium. And if we take a look at the back four, at right back, it is Juan Luis Sanchez with Loic Bade and Nemanja Gude as the centre backs. At left back, it's Kike Salas. The 2 defensive midfielders will be Juan Jordan and Fernando Reges. Eric Lamela, the ex-Tottenham midfielder, takes his place on the right wing, along with Adria Pedrosa on the left, with Jibril Sow in the middle, and of course the Moroccan superstar Youssef En-Nesyri will be playing as the lone striker. So David Raya once again comes up against the same opponents he played in Spain, and of course he was criticised in many ways for some more shaky play, most notably near the end of the game when he came out to sort of punch the ball, and a lot of people were saying that it was actually a good intervention, albeit I would say it sort of went off the back of his hand, bounced horrifically up in the air, and very nearly nestled in the back of the net. Fortunately or not, his blushes were saved, and for what it's worth, he is still Arsenal's number 1 for now, probably because when Ramsdale played against West Ham in the League Cup, he completely flattered to deceive. And the teams are walking out of the tunnel onto the field, so this gives me enough time to go through some of the comments. Now, we've got a newcomer over here whose name I probably won't read, but I am not going to be like Charlene Smith on AFTV. I'll refer to you as IWC, and yes, that is my voice. I appreciate the compliment. I would say that Martin Tyler's not really my favorite commentator. I have a soft spot for the likes of Ian Dark, Rob Palmer, and a few others. John Helm is a legend, of course. I grew up listening to Brian Moore and John Motson. And but thank you very much for the compliment indeed. Anthony Herbert, big up to you. I will be joining your stream tomorrow at 9 p.m. UK. It is going to be very late for me, but I've made a promise and I intend to keep it. Something could be happening in this game, going for a 2-2 draw. I'm still hopeful for a 2-1 win for the Arsenal, but having said that, you know, our injury list doesn't look too good. We've struggled to, create a starting lineup for tonight, which will do us justice. So hopefully things will turn out well, but we will see. Big up Chelsea fan, and little pleasantries being exchanged. Keep hitting the like button, and we've got Mr. B. Arteta will muck this up again. You just watch. We'll see about that. I mean. And a little message from Hanno. Can't make it tonight, having the Wi-Fi issues. Hopefully we'll be sorted out tomorrow and he'll be back with some live shows. But if you are here tonight and you're going to listen to my decent commentary, do drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Always appreciated, and of course the more pleasantries being exchanged. And Anthony, listen, if you are joining the watch along and you are watching and you'd like to come on at halftime, I'd be more than happy to send you the link on WhatsApp, and you are welcome to join in, mate. I would love to speak to you. But confirmation of the starting lineup, it is going to be a 4-3-3, as strong as we can possibly get, really. The same back four, the same midfield. The only change, of course, from the Newcastle game is that Nketiah is out and Trossard is in. And we're going to take a look at the Sevilla lineup once again. They're playing a 4-2-3-1, of course. And Georgie Porgy, once again, captaining the side. Both captains, in fact, Jorginho and Fernando Reges, wearing the number 20. So I wonder if we're going to see a 2020 game. A little cricket humour. And confirmation that Marko Dimitrovic is, of course, starting. And It is, of course, Kike Sayas at left back with Gudeli and Bade in the centre of the defence, along with Juanlu Sanchez at right back. Jordan and Reges, of course, are the defensive midfielders. Eric Lamela on the right wing. Adria Pedrosa on the left with Jibril Sow in the middle and Yusuf and Nesri up front. And Ocampos, Rakitic and Navas are on the bench. I'm assuming that Alonso will want to bring them on as substitutes if they could possibly have an impact on the game later on, and almost certainly saving them for La Liga action later on the weekend. Sevilla, of course, not having had the best of starts to La Liga, and with Sergio Ramos out, I don't know if Alonso could have afforded to relegate Jesus Navas and company to the bench. And with Rakitic on the bench, it'll be very interesting to see how Reges and Jordan do tonight. But we just kicked off. A pass back to David Raya, and David Raya, of course, sends it up. And it is with Kai Havertz, who's bundled off the ball. Jorginho now passing it to Gabriel Magalhaes. And Magalhaes now sends it forward on the left to Gabriel Martinelli, who has a wonderful turn of pace. But sad, he ends up winning a corner, rather surprisingly. The defence claiming that Martinelli had the last touch of the ball, but it is, in fact, a corner, and Martinelli, with his right foot, will be taking it. And, of course, as is the case with Arteta, both his wingers are inverted. The left-footed Saka on the right and the right-footed Martinelli on the left. It's the newfangled thing these days. I'm not too fond of it, but it is what it is. So about 50 seconds in, and we got our first corner of the game. Martinelli swinging it in with his right foot, hoping to... Well, he found Kai Havertz, but the less said about that header, the better. Well off target. Didn't even put the Serbian Dimitrovic into any sort of trouble. Interestingly enough, despite hardly playing for Sevilla, Dimitrovic did find a way into the Serbian World Cup squad for Qatar last season, but very much a substitute behind Vanja Milinkovic-Savic, the monstrous bald-headed goalkeeper who looked impressive when it came to shot stopping, but will be disappointed with the goals that he conceded. Saliba receiving that back pass from Ryan, passing it back to his goalkeeper, who then offers it to Declan Rice, who sends it all the way out to that was Tomiyasu, of course, at left back. Gabriel back to Saliba, back to Ben White. It is with Kai Havertz now, who's on the right of all places. And it'll be interesting to see how Havertz and Saka link up. And that triumvirate of White, Havertz and Saka will possibly be key. A lot of talk about how Saka hasn't really been in the best of form of late, given how he's been overplayed. He is capable of producing some really special moments, but often tends to drift out of the game a bit too much for our liking these days. And... Tomiyasu and Saliba engaging in some passing, and now Gabriel trying to start an attack. And it is Declan Rice who is able to come up against Bade on the left. Really strong performance needed tonight from him. He has been performing very strongly indeed. Pedrosa trying to send it out, but obstructed, or rather really impede. I would sort of say blocked, rather. And Jorginho was able to send it forward, but no one really on the end of that. And this hasn't been some very good footwork from Sevilla so far. Pedrosa in particular has been, guilty of, not being able to control it very well. But Arsenal have not been able to take advantage of it. And we've just come up to 3 minutes. It's still 0-0, obviously. Nothing much expected to happen so quickly. And for the record, this isn't alcohol. It's an energy drink, Predator. A bit like Red Bull, as sweet. I don't like my energy drinks sweet, but I don't promote alcohol consumption on this stream. Very responsible, you see. I mean, I'm not Lee Gunner. A nice little cheap shot there. And that ball, of course, going out of play for a goal kick. Mikel Arteta's under a bit of pressure now, having lost in the League Cup and also seen Arsenal's unbeaten record end at St James's Park. And some of the comments he made about the referees' performance and VAR were quite frankly uncalled for. I get that he wants to defend his club, but he's better off being honest with himself and saying that he has a lot of work to do as a manager, and his players have got a lot of work to do as players. And Diego Alonso, of course, a former player himself, former Uruguayan international, who, of course, came in to manage Sevilla this season. And I've just got an update that Manchester United, having started, have taken the lead rather quickly. Kasper Højlund putting them ahead against FC Copenhagen. But we're going to see how play continues over there. I will, of course, give you some updates on some other scores. There were 2 games played today, of course. Real Sociedad winning their game earlier on quite convincingly 3-1 and continuing their amazing performances in the group stage. And Napoli and Union Berlin playing a goalless, a 1-1 draw with 8 minutes of stoppage time being played. There's an Arsenal throw, and they're still deep into the Sevilla half, but still not really able to find enough penetration to cause Dimitrovic any sort of trouble. And Arsenal are still trying as much as they possibly can, and the ball has now come out to... that is, of course, Salas who have that ball and could have started the attack, but it was blocked. Jorginho now, and hoping to find Declan Rice, but Rice completely unaware of that. But Sevilla give the ball back, and we're seeing some pretty sloppy ball play at the moment. It is now with Bukayo Saka on the right, up against Salas, the left back. But actually it is Gudeli, the centre-back, who blocks his attempt to try and cross it. But a rather cheap foul there committed by Gudeli on Saka, and the referee giving him a very stern talking to. And Arsenal probably having the better of the play so far, but not really able to make the most of it. And this is going to be worrying, because you would think that they would want to try and, really make their dominance and possession count. But they do have a free kick from that foul, and it'll be interesting to see who takes this. Trossard, of course, is good at set pieces, but is it he who's taking it? No, it is Saka, in fact, who will try to swing it in with that left foot of his. Possibly hoping to find a header to catch Dimitrovic off guard. And there was a header, in fact. I believe it was Gabriel who headed that, but it was not on target. You can see the flight of the ball. It landed perfectly on a sixpence, but sadly, Gabriel couldn't divert that header towards the goalkeeper. And Sevilla now have to try and play out the back, and they're running into some problems right now with the likes of Martinelli and Trossard really snapping at their heels. And Loic Bade, the central defender, he might have a busy night tonight. And I think they're missing the likes of Navas and Ramos. Navas still very much involved with the Spanish national team, but with Ramos, his international days are, of course, done and dusted. We'll get to some of your comments in a minute, but Declan Rice now passing it back. It is with Gabriel, who passes that back to Raya. And still some play going on at the moment. And Saka, at the moment, looks as though he's being targeted in a way by the Sevilla defenders. Just about coming up to the 10-minute mark. And when we have a stoppage in play, I will read some of your comments. And obviously, Hanno not being able to join us is a bit of a disappointment, but hopefully it will get fixed for tomorrow. And Ben White now, who has the chance to try and start an attack, but that is cut off quite easily. Jibril Sow there. I don't know if it's pronounced Sow or So or whatever, but I'll get it right, I promise you. And expertly cut off by Kiki Salas there. No relation, of course, to the legendary Chilean Marcelo Salas, of course. And Arsenal once again showing marginally better ball control, having the lion's share of possession, and obviously trying their best to make their possession and territorial advantage count. But Sevilla holding firm, even if perhaps a little bit in an unorthodox manner. Magalhaes sending it forward, and that is with Martinelli, who's able to, really put on that burst of speed. Declan Rice in the penalty area now. This looks promising. Laying it off to Trossard, but Trossard couldn't get the shot on. But Gabriel does head it back, and Martinelli is able to, work with it. But this time, Sevilla able to cut the danger out. Fernando Regues now passing it back. It is Bade who passes it back to Dimitrovic, who sends it all the way out to Salas on the left wing. Keeps it in play, but only just. And Pedrosa there, sort of a bundle to the ground by Ben White. And this is going to be an interesting battle between White and Pedrosa. Pedrosa, of course, ironically wearing what should be the left-back number, but playing on the left wing tonight. Number 3. Pass back to Dimitrovic, and some more defensive play abounds. Nothing really exciting. Still pass back between defender and goalkeeper. And goalkeeper eventually decides to send it long down the right, but doesn't find the man. Cut off by Gabriel. It is with Tomiyasu now, who passes it to Jorginho. And Declan Rice sending it forward to Martinelli on the left. And I think this could very well prove to be a masterstroke when it comes to playing on the left. Attempted cross there from Martinelli, but very well headed away. Lamela now passing it back to the number 26, Sanchez, Wanlu Sanchez, and foul committed there by Trossard, who bundled Sanchez over. And we didn't really bundle him over, but did sort of impede his progress, and the referee deciding that that was not really smart play and calling a foul. Navas sitting on the bench right now as we speak, wondering, why am I not out there playing? This match is tailor-made for the likes of me. And, of course, the injuries to Neeland, Ramos and Acuna have not helped Sevilla in any way, but Arsenal don't exactly have a fully fit squad to choose from. And free kick against Gudeli once again, who's certainly been a little bit aggressive with his tackling, and the referee giving him another talking to. You sense that one more false move and he will be booked. Mr. B saying the best thing that could happen is Eddie being out. More pleasantries being exchanged. Eddie's scoring run coming to an abrupt end. Yeah, I could have headed that better than him. I just don't know who you're talking about, Havertz or Gabriel, mate. But it is a free kick to Arsenal. And, of course, Chelsea fan confirming that United are 1-0 up. Good oranges from Sevilla. I think they're sort of the bitter oranges that are more used for marmalade, really. The Valencia oranges are a lot sweeter. But, yeah. At the moment, Mr. B, you are watching the United match. Yeah, if you can keep us updated on the score, that would be good. But Hannah also saying both teams feeling each other out, getting the predictions in. Mr. B saying it should end in a 1-1 draw. I think quite a few people have predicted a draw. A draw wouldn't really hurt Arsenal because, provided, of course, that Lens do not win tonight, they will still be top of the group. And from this particular position, you have to say that Arsenal should be able to qualify, and Saka wins another free kick. So I think Sevilla's defenders have been given an edict to try to use whatever means they can to prevent Bukayo Saka from making too much progress if you can't make those runs very easily. And this time it's left back Salas who sort of snaps at his heels with his own heels and prevents him from moving forward. This time it will be Gabriel Martinelli to try and whip this free kick away from the penalty area somewhat, but I'm hoping to find a teammate who can control it, and that was not a good free kick at all. Didn't have any kind of altitude, and the referee has blown for an infringement during the taking of the free kick, so Sevilla will have a free kick of their own. And a huge update, a big one from Chelsea fan. PSV have taken the lead against Lens, so that's great news for Arsenal. It means that we should be able to end this game top of the table if the scores stay as they are. Of course, I am hoping that we can at least win tonight, but, our bench doesn't fill me with much confidence, while Sevilla have Rakitic, Ocampos, and Navas on their bench. Why? I will never know. Almost certainly to prepare for the La Liga game in this weekend. Saliba, the number 2, and Ben White with the number 4. And you think that positionally their positions would be, they'd switch their positions, but as a matter of fact, they're not. Gabriel, Tomiyasu, Gabriel. Certainly an inferior defender to the on-loan Real Sociedad defender Kieran Tierney, but a much better defender than the Ukrainian Alexander Zinchenko. Saka now, who's been double-teamed but is able to get the cross through, and the referee once again calls for a free kick. And this time, I wonder if there's going to be a booking this time around. Kike Salas once again pretty much stopping his progress, and Fernando Reguez also getting in on the act. Pretty much double teaming him in a way. And this could potentially be a more dangerous free kick. With a clear view of goal, and Marko Dimitrovic wearing the number 1 jersey, but very much second choice as far as Diego Alonso is concerned, is arranging the wall. Both Saka and Martinelli standing over it, and you think it might be Saka who'll have the chance to try to whip it in, and he has scored some delightful goals. It is Saka, and this time doesn't get the curl he needs to see that ball dip over. It ends up dip under the bar, ends up going over, and that will be a goal kick. So once again, no shots on target, and Dimitrovic has had a very quiet first 18 minutes so far. And you get the feeling that with the formation that Alonso's applied, it's the formation has been able to sort of nullify the forward line a little bit. But the midfield so far of Arsenal has had as much better say about it, even if it is Declan Rice who's done most of the work with Jorginho contributing. And an update from Mr. B. The United game has been delayed due to a medical emergency in the stand. I hope that that will be solved, and my thoughts and prayers are with the person who is affected. And just goes to show, football, especially live football, is not for the faint-hearted. And I can only hope and pray that it's not a heart-related issue. Arsenal throw-in. And Saka goes back to receive that and ends up passing it all the way back to Gabriel, who passes it to Declan Rice, who inexplicably sends it back to Tomiyasu. But Tomiyasu can clean up. 18 against 18. Tomiyasu against Sal. And it is Tomiyasu who passes it to Martinelli, who passes it back to Rice. But Rice is dispossessed. And Sevilla have a chance to try to hit Arsenal on the counter if they can find a way through that three-man midfield. Fernando Reguez with the ball. Sends it out to Goudet on the left. And has Salas gone forward? Well, Salas was on the wing, and it was Pedrosa who had gone forward. But Arsenal snuff out that little attack. Martinelli now on the left, slowing things down a bit. Tomiyasu. Saliba. Ben White. Declan Rice a little bit forward. And hoping to find Saka, but that was well too far for him. And a little tribute, of course, to Jose Antonio Reyes, who played for both clubs. Sadly passed away 4 years ago in an automobile accident. Very much beloved by both clubs. May he, of course, continue to rest in eternal peace. And Arsenal once again showing better ball control and better movement. And can they make this pay? No. Goudet once again heads that away. And so the Sevilla defending has been very effective, if, as I've said, a bit unorthodox. And certainly in the case of trying to stop Bukayo Saka, rather cynical. Ben White looking for the to find that person. And he finds Trossard, but Trossard is double teamed. And Arsenal win a throw-in thanks to... well, Trossard at the moment is having words with the official. He's already had words with one on the other side. I think he's complaining that that should have been an Arsenal throw because Salas had the last touch of the ball. But as it stands, it is Salas who is about to take the throw in. And Trossard, of course, starting tonight because of injuries to Eddie Nketiah and Gabriel Jesus. Being given a bit of a talking to by the referee, with the referee telling him, Leandro, you better watch your tongue, son. Don't try and give us any more lip. And coming up to the halfway mark in the first half, it is still Arsenal 0, Sevilla 0. And no real action having taken place so far. You do get the feeling, of course, that this being an Emirates clash, the home team will probably spring into life just before half-time. And confirmation, of course, of the ball possession, twice as much for Arsenal, 67% to 33, with 118 passes completed to Sevilla's mere 38. So they've literally huffed and puffed, but they just couldn't blow the house down. Maybe they can now with Martinelli on the left. And Trossard and Rice are in the penalty area. Back to Tomiyasu, who sends it forward to Martinelli, trying to find a way through. But Sanchez stopping him. He does get across to the penalty area, but that is headed away. Jorginho lays it across to Ben White, who fancied himself with a little bit of a left-footed, glide, but never got that on target. Not necessarily a bad effort, but definitely not a very good one. Just had a bit too much elevation, and Dimitrovic was never going to be put under any pressure. In fact, I would have expected the goalkeeper to make the save, given that the shot wasn't exactly venomous. So, White now sending it forward, hoping to find Saka, but once again headed out of danger. But only as far as Kai Havertz, playing in a rather unfamiliar role on the right tonight. And he's been quiet so far, but yeah, I agree with you on Ben White. And there is a rather forlorn-looking Gabriel Jesus in the stands now, thinking that he should be out there. And Arsenal's options on the bench don't make very good reading. Saliba, of course, shepherding Pedrosa out of the way and passing it back to David Raya, who gets to Gabriel, and now Declan Rice back to Gabriel, and Sevilla now snapping at the Arsenal defenders' heels, but Raya has it under control, as do the defenders. Saliba to Havertz, to Saka. It is with Gabriel now, who sends it forward, finds Leandro Trossard from the looks of it, hoping to go through. Trossard does get into the penalty area, but once again it is headed away. This time, though, only as far as Saliba, who can try and orchestrate an attack. Ben White now to Saka. Trossard now. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere, making a nuisance of himself. Pretty good with both his feet and causing some problems, but Sevilla... Saka now in the penalty area and claims for a penalty, but that was never going to go anywhere. But Jorginho now intercepting that clearance to Rice, to Martinelli. Can Martinelli try and get a shot on goal? No. Attempted to pull it back in, and Fernando Reguez was able to clear that. But the danger still is at the way. It's still with Arsenal. Saliba sending it through to Ben White, who's overlapped well. Havertz now in the penalty area, trying to move through. And this time around, it's Jorginho's turn to try and have a pop, but he also sends it over the bar. Jorginho, of course, once again captaining tonight in the absence of Martin Odegaard. And claims for a penalty, but there really was nothing in that. You could see a combination of Salas and Sau trying to stop his progress. And I'll tell you what, it did look as though there might have been a bit of a clip, but probably not malicious enough to warrant a penalty. Probably would have been a harsh call if that penalty had been given. Goes without saying, Mr. B. Goes without saying. Saliba. Gabriel. Back to Saliba. Ben White. Tomiyasu sending it forward to Martinelli, who has brilliantly outrun Sanchez and can try and send it into the penalty area, but Gudeli once again outstanding. And you can see how important the defense has been to Sevilla's game tonight. Almost a half an hour and still no score. And once again, Arsenal are literally tearing Sevilla apart, but they still can't get the ball on target. Martinelli once again really running his socks off, and he's been subject to a lot of criticism of late, but if he can continue to play as well as he has so far, it will certainly bear fruit. And Loic Bade once again cutting out that cross for a corner, heading it behind the goal line. And Martinelli once again will have a chance to try to whip it in with his right foot. Hoping to find some head. It could be Gabriel's, it could be Saliba's, it could even be Tomiyasu. Anyone but Kai Havertz. A rather weak attempt at a punch there by Dimitrovic. It finds Bukayo Saka. Lays it off with Jorginho, I don't know if he was trying to cross it or shoot it. It looked as though he might have crossed it anyway, but that didn't really go through. And Dimitrovic obviously, called to play tonight. And ending up rather fortunate there. And After the restart, United, of course, have restarted the game, and it is 2-0 to United with Højlund scoring yet again. So, good news for United. At least their Champions League recovery continues. Sent forward. It is with Saka in the penalty area, and Arsenal are ahead, and it is Leandro Trossard who is able to finish off that brilliant move with a goal. And you could just tell that it was coming, really, because I'll tell you what, Arsenal were literally enjoying the lion's share possession, passing the ball beautifully. And this time around, after some poor play from Sevilla, I mean, that pass, I think it was Ben White. Definitely not offside. And Saka was able to circumvent Kiki Salas over there, going around his back, laying it off beautifully for Leandro Trossard, and all he had to do was say, "Merci beaucoup, mon frère," and Arsenal are 1-0 up. A little halted celebration of sorts. I'm not too sure what that's all about, but confirmation, of course, of the score. It is Arsenal 1, Sevilla 0. Leandro Trossard in the 29th minute. Easy tap in for Trossard, as you say, Mr. B. And I wonder if Arsenal are now going to try to turn the screw in the remaining 15 minutes of this first half. Here's Declan Rice down the left to Martinelli, who's been outstanding tonight, even if he hasn't quite gotten the fruits his labour has deserved. Evading that tackle brilliantly, but obviously the ball being sent forward by Tomiyasu and no one on the end of that. And Mitrovic can take the goal kick and release some pressure. But once again, some terrific play. And Jorginho, who has been under criticism for his play of late, finding that inch-perfect pass, and Saka showing wonderful awareness to, go around the outside of Kiki Salas. Easy tap-in for Trossard from the pass, and Diego Alonso has some work to do. Maybe he'll be thinking, I should not have rested 3 of my best players tonight. And Mr. B saying Martinelli trying a bit too hard, too much from him. Martinelli happens to be my favourite player in this Arsenal team. I love his guile and work rate. Never gets enough of the good press that he deserves compared to someone like a Saka, but he's definitely worthy of it. And that free kick, of course, is harmless, and Raya is able to claim it. And of course, Mr. B, I know that Raya was, until the end of last season, on the books at your lot, Brentford. And he has been criticised of late, but I suppose no news being good news, he's had a decent game so far. Caught that free kick fairly easily. And another free kick against Sevilla, this time Juan Jordan impeding Leandro Trossard, sort of bundling him to the ground and conceding that free kick. Havertz to Saka, back to Ben White. Saliba. Gabriel. Back with Saliba. Ben White. And Trossard to Havertz to Ben White again. Saka rather. And Saka this time dummies Pedrosa, still on the right, but the cross was a little bit too far. And Martinelli, I don't think he'll be able to keep that. And actually he did. Well done him. And Magalhaes trying to send it forward, but Sevilla they still can't clear their line, Sevilla, because Arsenal have so far been pretty much snapping at their heels. I think it's fair to say that this Champions League group stage has been very kind to Arsenal in a way, but they are still prone to moments of poor concentration. And there's only one change, of course, from the team that lost at Newcastle, but I think you could tell that with Trossard coming in, a big difference has been made. And switching Havertz to the right has somehow worked, if only to make sure that Rice and Martinelli could work together beautifully. Ben White to Havertz. Havertz laying it off to Saka. Saka bundled over, and Kiki Salas once again finding himself in all sorts of trouble. He's been given a job to do by Alonso to try and stop Saka from running amok, and you have to say, with the goal conceded and now this free kick conceded, he's failed so far. And it's a dangerous-looking free kick, which might put Dimitrovic in some sort of trouble. And coming up to 35 minutes gone, 10 minutes to go until half-time. That is until the end of first half normal time, and there will be a few stoppages, you'd imagine. Saka with the free kick, chipped into the box, and I'm not too sure what Dimitrovic was trying to do there. I don't know whether he was trying to catch it or punch it, and he ended up sort of palming it out of harm's way. Not very convincing goalkeeping from the Serbian, and you could tell that he's not really benefiting from his lack of football. Just goes to show that as a goalkeeper, you need to be playing regularly. Being on the bench all the time will not do wonders for your performance or your confidence. And this time around, Bade it is who's able to clean up a little bit, passing it back to Dimitrovic, who will need to be a little bit more decisive now with his play. An attempted pass to Gibril Sao. Martinelli very nearly intercepted him, but inadvertently ended up sending that out for a goal kick. And of course, that kick is taken by Dimitrovic quite long. Still not able to find the man, and Enesiri has had a rather quiet game so far. And Sevilla now do have a free kick. The possible opportunity to try and make something happen, but once again, they just don't seem to have that type of impetus really in their side. And with the team that they put out, which Diego Alonso put out, you could tell that it was never really going to offer too much. And Enesiri has been isolated on his own up front. I think if Sevilla want to get something out of this game, they will need to bring on Navas and Rakitic and Campos to try to clean up some of the damage. And some fine play from Saliba there, winning the ball fairly. Declan Rice has sort of now come back to play as more of a sweeper of sorts. To Havertz, to Ben White. Havertz has looked decent without necessarily being spectacular. It's really been Ben White and Saliba who've done the lion's share of the work. And Sevilla once again, through a combination of Jordan and Pedrosa, able to shut Saka down a little bit. But in stark contrast to Newcastle and Eddie Howe, Diego Alonso has not been able to keep Saka and Martinelli quiet tonight. In fact, Martinelli has had more license to go through. But Sevilla do have a chance on the counter. It is Pedrosa, but Saliba able to come back and snuff out the danger perfectly, outrunning Pedrosa, as it were, and coming in first with that tackle. And further proof of why Saliba is so highly rated. Saka now to Martinelli on the left, and Tomiyasu coming all the way up. Martinelli forced back to Rice, to Jorginho, whose killer pass found Saka. And I will credit the Brazilian-Italian. He's looked decent tonight. At least he's just come to the conclusion that with his former Chelsea teammate not quite pulling his weight, he has to take up some slack and support Declan Rice a lot better. And credit to Arteta for making that positional change. It's worked. Martinelli, once again, skinning Sanchez. But Fernando Reguez cutting that off, and Bade once again trying his best to clean up, but Tomiyasu at his heels, and eventually Bade has no option but to concede a throw, and Arsenal coming up to the 40-minute marker all over Sevilla like a bad rash. But Pedrosa having a chance to try to take it forward. Saliba, though, a brilliantly timed run back, and I'm sure you can see there that Diego Alonso was claiming a foul, but once again the referee said nothing doing. And of course, once again, with 5 minutes to go to the end of normal time, confirmation that Arsenal leads Sevilla by a goal to nil. Leandro Trossard with that rather easy tap in. And once again, Arsenal's sharpness in play catching Sevilla cold. But this time around, we see a rather cynical foul being committed. I believe that was by Kai Havertz, who's getting a talking to. And Fernando Reguez, wearing the captain's armband tonight, is... Yep. Not exactly smart play there from Havertz. And there might have been a foul earlier than that in the build-up to that. But in any case, Sevilla have the free kick, and Reguez now has to try and... Not Reguez, that was Bade, rather, who tries to send that out. And once again, he can't find anyone. And Rea, once again... calm and collected, and... unaffected. Hoping to find Saka then. Once again, the ball very nearly given away, but the referee does award a free kick to Sevilla. And Arsenal need to keep their composure because they could ill afford to concede so close to half-time. Reguez. Goudelje. Salas. Charged down by Saka. But back with Salas, who passes it back to his goalkeeper, Dimitrovic. And Jordan winning that ball in the air, and Sevilla somehow able to keep control of that. It is Salas who passes it back to Goudelje. And Dimitrovic. I'll say this about Dimitrovic, although he has a decent kick in the hope of finding a player, he hasn't been able to find too many of his teammates tonight. And you can see the frustration on Diego Alonso's face. He'll be thinking, come the second half, it's time to bring on the big guns. Saka. Pedrosa there conceding the throw. Ben White with the throw to Trossard, who's been very impressive tonight. Trossard finding Rice. And that pass from Rice was very nice indeed. And does Martinelli keep that in play? Yes, he does eventually. Hoping to find a teammate, but Salas heading that in the air. Still not away from danger. And this time, Salas is able to hoik that away. Still, it was with Saliba, but nice little tackle over there from En-Nesyri. Denying Saliba a chance to move forward, but En-Nesyri loses it, and a pretty nasty, wouldn't say nasty, but definitely cynical foul by Jordan on Jorginho, and that will be an Arsenal free kick. And still, we've got the game going on, and Martinelli, of course, doing well to keep that in play. Obviously, you know, Arsenal were burnt, of course, by that assist from former gunner Joe Willock for the Newcastle goal that condemned them to defeat. They now know that with technology, they need to make sure they keep it in play. And Martinelli, once again, outstanding on the left, but again, not quite able to find the man with his cross. And of course, since this video isn't subscriber only mode, I can't really post a link on the chat. But if there are any of you who would like to come on at halftime to have a chat with me, do please let me know, and I will send you the link separately if I possibly can. And you can come on and have your say. Delia once again cleaning up that mess, passing it back to Dimitrovic, who gets it back from Dimitrovic, passes it to Jordan. It's Jordan to Bade from the looks of it. And Jordan has to come back and sort of help out in the defense. And not very good passing there. That goes out for a throw. And there will be exactly 1 minute of time added on. So it shouldn't be too long now before a very satisfying first half from Arsenal comes to an end. I think the biggest frustration is that they haven't been able to score many more goals. Apart from that tap-in, they haven't really had a shot on target. They haven't had any shots on target, most of them going over the bar. But Sevilla have looked toothless. One might even say impotent, perhaps. And even when they had chances to do something on the counter, Saliba and company have pretty much laid waste to their best laid plans. Tomiyasu. A possible chance for a flourish before the end of the first half. Martinelli. The referee very nearly getting in the way, but eventually coming out and whipped in by Martinelli, but that is headed away. And will that be the last action of the first half? Yes, it will be indeed, and both teams will, in fact, head to the tunnel. I'm not too sure how Diego Alonso will be feeling, given that his team are only down 1-0. But he will not be happy with the way Arsenal have been allowed to dominate proceedings. Confirmation, of course, that Leandro Trossard's goal separates both teams at half-time. An absolutely brilliant pass from Jorginho Freo, captain, of course, for the night for Arsenal, finding Bukayo Saka, who laid it on a plate for the Belgian. And at half-time, it is, of course, Arsenal 1, Sevilla 0. And I will get to a couple of comments now. And, nice little update going on from Old Trafford. United down to 10 men. I'm going to find out who the person sent off is. And 13 minutes of added time have been given. So I'm going to try and see if I can go to, 30 minutes have indeed been added. And it is, of course, Copenhagen 1, Manchester United 2. I'm not too sure who got the goal for the Danes. But Højlund, of course, scoring twice on his return to Denmark. I'm sure that will dominate the headlines. But Copenhagen now have a spring in their step, and we see the shot now coming in. Doesn't really trouble Andre Onana. It is, in fact, 2-1, and I'm assuming I might possibly get to the live updates that maybe it was a penalty that was scored. I'm not too sure. We'll have to see. The internet's a little bit slow right now. It was, in fact, El Yunusi who scored just before the end of normal time. And it was Marcus Rashford who was sent off. We're going to find out why later on. And, of course, confirmation that Real Sociedad beat Benfica 3-1. Inter Milan and Salzburg are 0-0 at half-time. And so Inter Milan can ill afford to draw this game because Sociedad are very comfortably sitting top of the group. Uh, 1-0 for Real Madrid at halftime against Sporting Braga. I'll find out who the goal scorer is. 1-0 for PSV Eindhoven against Lens. And goalless between Bayern Munich and Galatasaray. Not the best of halves for Thomas Tuchel as far as he's concerned. And Napoli and Union Berlin playing out a 1-1 draw after 8 minutes of added time at the end of the game. And with 10 more minutes, you think that United might have a chance to possibly score another one, although they are down to 10, and Bruno Fernandes trying to make a lot more things happen. But, I'm obviously, I don't really want to focus too much on this match. We've got Mr. B watching, and I don't know if you'll be able to hop on at this rate, mate, because by the time injury time ends in that game, Arsenal and Sevilla will be back on the field, almost ready to start the second half. I have sent the link to Anthony Herbert. Thanks a lot for joining the chat once again. And if he can come on to offer his thoughts, that would be terrific. Any more if you would like to possibly come on, just inform me and I'll try and send you the link if I possibly can. It is, of course, Rashford who was off. Certainly putting the rash in Rashford. We will find out what the story was. Yeah, a very rash tackle there from Rashford. Was trying to protect the ball, but ended up catching his opponent badly. And credit to him, didn't remonstrate with the referee. He did, in fact, decide, I'm off. So fair play to him. And we're still playing at Copenhagen. Still 2-1 Manchester United for now. But I tell you what, without Marcus Rashford, United are going to have a struggle for the rest of the game. Copenhagen, of course, have former Liverpool goalkeeper Camille Grabara in goal. El Yunusi, of course, used to play for Southampton. Oscar Højlund, I wonder if he's any relation to Rasmus Højlund. All I can say about this Rasmus is that he's been watching, he's been waiting in the shadows for his time. And he's been listening and been living for tomorrow's all his life. And hang about, it looks as though United have conceded a penalty. A handball against Harry Maguire, of all people. Well, this is going to be interesting. United, having done the hard work of taking a 2-goal lead, saw one of their strikers sent off. It's actually a handball against Rafael Varane. And Maguire also getting in on the act there. Not sure you can have any real complaints about that, really. Yep, confirmed. Penalty for Copenhagen. A 4-2-3-1 with McTominay and Eriksen, the defensive midfielders. Decent lineup, you would think. Still continuing to remonstrate with the referee, and Harry Maguire is not a happy chappy. Certainly not happy, Harry, from the looks of it. We see the Dutch manager, Erik ten Hag, furiously scribbling down some notes. A penny for his thoughts. Yeah. And, well, this is an interesting setting because it was Onana who saved that last-minute penalty against Copenhagen to ensure that United got their first win in the Champions League. Can he be the hero second time around? It could be that Copenhagen might be suffering from a case of PTSD. Find out who is taking it. It's the number 9, Cupido Gonçalves. And certainly not Stupido Cupido. Nothing but love. Diogo Cupido Gonçalves sends Onana the wrong way, and it is 2-2. And there are, of course, 4 minutes left until the end of the 13 minutes of injury time, and Maguire is still unhappy, having a chat with Rasmus Højlund there. No heroics from Onana this time around. Diogo sending him the wrong way, sending it to the keeper's right, while the Cameroonian dived to his left. Onana, of course, the only person to have played in every minute of every one of United's games so far. And that's 2 goals in 4 matches for Senor Gonçalves. As cool as you like. But of course, going back to Arsenal against Sevilla, it really was a case of Arsenal territorial and possession-wise dominance, really. And Sevilla just looked toothless, and they weren't really able to offer too much of a threat. And we are still on advertisements on the other channel. Once again, thanks, profuse thanks go out to the wonderful people at the Sony Sports Network over here in India for the brilliant job they've done in providing coverage. And it really shouldn't be long before Diego Alonso brings on the big guns at his disposal, because there is no way that he would want to see his team lose this game, even if La Liga at the moment might be a bigger priority. And for what it's worth, they do. Of course, they are joint third, really, and it's hard pressed. It's hard to see them really qualifying from this group, but not really an excuse to field such a weakened team against an Arsenal side who have put out a first 11, but whose bench strength is definitely not the best. Certainly not bad, but could have been a lot better from Arsenal's point of view. And we are into the 12th minute of the 13 minutes of injury time awarded. And it will be interesting to see how well Erik ten Hag manages things over here, especially in terms of trying to rearrange the shape. Could we perhaps see a 4-3-2 with McTominay, Eriksen, Fernandes slotting in the centre, and Garnacho and Højlund trying to make things happen up front? We will have to see. And to add to United's frustrations, they concede a corner with 30 seconds to go before the end of the first half. And the corner is taken, but Maguire heads that away. But with 10 seconds left, could Copenhagen try and launch another attack? You'd think there might be an extra 30 seconds added given the stoppage for the penalty. Well, surprisingly, the referee blows his whistle, much to the frustration of the Copenhagen players. And a huge amount of controversy with regard to the Rashford sending off, with several people saying that the decision to send him off was an absolute shocker. No intent to hurt the player. VAR once again ruining a match. Should red cards be awarded for accidents? Utterly ludicrous, says another. Every foul in slow motion, replayed to the nth degree, looks like a red card. Replay everything in real time. And the way things stand here, if Arsenal obviously wanting Lens to win tonight, because it means that they would end up qualifying with 2 games to spare if they hold on to victory over Sevilla. Both Arsenal and Lens also looking in good position to qualify, but with Lens trailing to a resurgent PSV Eindhoven, who could also present a threat to Arsenal in their last game in the group, it could be difficult. And let's not forget that when Arsenal played PSV in the Europa League last season, we lost at their home ground. And I am also going to take this opportunity to try to update you on the scores from yesterday's Champions League matches, which saw Newcastle United and Manchester City play, along with Celtic, of course, who were thrashed by Atletico Madrid to the tune of 6-0 in Group E after going down to 10 men with Maeda getting sent off. Lazio beating Feyenoord 1-0 in Italy. Feyenoord having a pretty decent group stage this season, obviously, but you have to say that it will be between both of these two teams, Lazio and Feyenoord, to see who will be joining Atletico Madrid in the next stage. And in Group F, of course, confirmation of Newcastle United's disappointing defeat to Borussia Dortmund at the Signal Iduna Park. And, of course, Dortmund doing the double over Newcastle following their win at St. James's Park. An unhappy return to the San Siro for Gianluigi Donnarumma. Boos and fake money thrown at him as his PSG side went down 2-1 to AC Milan. RB Leipzig beating Red Star Belgrade 2-1 in Group G, and Manchester City making light work of the young boys 3-0 at the Etihad Stadium. Shakhtar Donetsk creating a bit of a shock, beating Barcelona to the tune of 1-0, and FC Porto beating Royal Antwerp 2-0. And so as things stand, we are actually back at the Emirates Stadium, and we will be resuming the match in the next few minutes. I will have to change the banner from half-time to second half. Rather hard-pressed to see what sort of substitutions Arteta would need to make. Zinchenko at the moment was warming up. Be a bit of a surprise if he were to be brought on now. I wonder who he'd replace. Maybe Ben White with Tomiyasu filling in at right back, or maybe, well, because he is actually coming on, and we're going to find out who he's replacing. And he has, in fact, replaced Tomiyasu. I'm assuming because the Japanese defender might have picked up a bit of a knock, or maybe Arteta is saving him for the Premier League clashes this weekend. Not clashes, just clash, rather. And Sevilla get us underway, attacking from left to right, just as Arsenal did in the first half. And Sevilla had to try to make something happen. There's been no change from... there have been no changes from Diego Alonso at half-time, but you would imagine that he'd be bringing on some players on the hour. And Zinchenko's first action is to try to hoik the ball away and start an attack, but It's Sevilla's turn now to try to start pushing, and I will find out if Alonso has made any changes. It is back with Udelli at the moment. And no changes, but of course on the BBC webpage, the Zinchenko substitution hasn't been confirmed yet, so while I refresh this page, that will be confirmed. It is with Arsenal through Ben White. Saliba to Rice. Back to Ben White. Saliba. And Zinchenko once again going well forward, not really overlapping, but sort of cutting into that midfield and then going forward, once again leaving three at the back. And this is probably the time Arteta senses to bring Zinchenko on, because Sevilla really have offered nothing in attack so far. But if Sevilla do manage to find something on the counter, then Arteta will look very, very silly indeed. You and me both. You and me both. England, of course, beating the Netherlands in the cricket to the tune of 170 runs, I believe. Already eliminated from the tournament. And it doesn't really do much to restore some pride, but at least they can end their tournament on a winning note when they play Pakistan in their upcoming game. Mitrovic with the goal kick, a rather high, loopy one. Once again, can't find his teammate, but the referee does, in fact, call for a free kick. A rather needless push from behind by Senor Magalhaes. And it's the ex-Spur, Eric Lamela, who was sort of hit in the back of the head. And can Sevilla make the most of this free kick? Sent into the penalty area, and that is easily dealt with by the Arsenal defence. And Bukayo Saka does some fine work, and he can now start a counter-attack on the right with Trossard and Havertz coming up. Lays it off to Havertz. And again, the less said about that shot, the better. And thanks for the correction. It was 160 runs, so thank you very much indeed for that, mate. I believe the Netherlands were all out for 179, I now remember. In reply to England's... well, actually, I mean, Havertz did actually have a decent shot, but it was Wan Lu who intercepted that, rather. So I should cut Havertz a bit of slack. And it's another Arsenal corner, this time to be taken once again to be taken by Gabriel Martinelli. And we have Trossard, Magalhaes, Ben White, Saliba, Declan Rice in the box. Can he find one of their heads? Once again, rather unconvincingly pushed away by Dimitrovic, only as far as Saka. And once again, Arsenal claiming a penalty half-heartedly this time, but the referee not really interested. And coming up to 50 minutes played, actually 49 minutes and 30 seconds. It is Arsenal 1, Sevilla 0. And Sevilla have looked a little bit better in the second half, but still haven't been able to really find that penetrating ball forward and really been able to give Arsenal's defence any kind of trouble. And the introduction of Zinchenko for Tomiyasu worries me a little bit, because you would think in theory that Zinchenko would add a bit more to the attack, but Arsenal so far have not really been able to, yet again, trouble Marko Dimitrovic in goal. Sal, Reguez, Lamela. Lamela able to shake off Saka and try and move forward, and sends a nice ball on the left for, well, that was, of course, whipped in and headed away, but Sevilla can still try and make something happen. It is with Lamela, who lays it back, and an attempted cross. Well, fortunately, again, unlike against Chelsea, Raya was never going to be beaten from that cross. Mikhailo Mudrak, the one-time Arsenal target, embarrassing the Arsenal goalkeeper at Stamford Bridge with a rather speculative shot, which I believe he meant to pull off. Looked like a cross, but there's a part of me that thinks that his body shape and his observation that Raya was off his line meant that he knew exactly what he was doing. Result from the Women's Super League, City women beating Liverpool women 4-3. Plenty of goals in that game. Still nothing much. And Arsenal winning the free kick. Magalhaes. Zinchenko. Martinelli started the run, and Zinchenko easily finds him. Martinez has pretty much skinned Sanchez tonight. And once again, the hopeful cross, hoping to find someone, but Havertz wasn't able to get there in time. And you would think that with someone like Gabriel Jesus or any other decent striker worth his salt, the connection would have been there. Once again, skinning Juan Luis Sanchez beautifully, but just not able to find his man with the cross. Martinelli is actually quite useful as a centre-forward in his own right, so he and Leandro Trossard can easily switch positions. And once again, Dimitrovic's kick fails to find his teammate, but you could say that it's probably more defensive because Sevilla eventually get the ball back, and they end up conceding a free kick. Assuming for possible handball or maybe a foul on one of the defenders. Magalhaes to Saliba. Ben White. Jorginho. Havertz. Back to White. Saliba to Raya. To Jorginho, to Saliba again. And Jorginho happy to sort of sit back and allow Declan Rice to try to move up forward. An attempted attacking throw, very well cut out. And Sevilla now have to try to move things forward. Bade to Gudelja. Gudelja hoping to find a teammate, but once again the passing has been very unsatisfactory, and Martinelli can once again try and make things happen down that right. Juan Luis Sanchez clearly is no match for Jesus Navas. Martinelli again, this time up against Loic Bade. Zinchenko. Magalhaes. Saliba. Ben White. Kai Havertz. And pretty poor defensive play there with that ball being intercepted. And Havertz this time had a much better fist of it, a shot at goal, but just going wide. At least he was able to give Dimitrovic a little scare there. And I'll tell you what, that was not far away, cutting in quite nicely on that left foot of his. Not really having that much bend to go back in and hit the target, but that was much better. The right height, just not necessarily the right side. And Sevilla once again living very dangerously, but once again Arsenal concede a free kick. And Magalhaes, this time it's Saliba who concedes that. And this is where Sevilla could potentially be dangerous if they have their best players on the field right now. I do understand Sevilla probably sitting on 2 points, feel as though qualification for the next stage of the Champions League might be beyond them. So why not play a weakened team tonight? But you can't really drop Rakitic, Campos, and Who's the other one? Navas for a game like this. How could I forget Navas? And Oya Neeland being injured for this game hasn't really helped. David Raya certainly had a very quiet night in the Arsenal goal. Zinchenko. Jorginho. Ben White. Back to Jorginho. Jorginho finding Declan Rice with a simple enough pass, and Rice now has he ends up passing it back to Magalhaes. Saliba. Jorginho. Very much the villain of the piece when Arsenal drew with Spurs at the Emirates. But certainly has been solid and very magisterial tonight. But the ball now given away, but well intercepted. But Sevilla still have it. And you've got to say that the passing between the Sevilla players has not really been the best. The ball control has been notable by the lack of it, really, when Sevilla have had the ball. Reges. And that is, of course, sent forward and not very well indeed. An attempted crossfield pass for Sanchez, easily cut out by Zinchenko, who sends it forward for Martinelli. And Bade once again has to concede another corner. And this is going to be yet again another corner to be taken by Martinelli with that right foot of his. It is taken. Nicely flighted one towards the far post, but sadly for Arsenal, no one there. And Zinchenko ends up conceding a free kick. In other news, Real Madrid have taken a 2-0 lead against Sporting Braga. Probably have to find out who scored the goals there. One would imagine that Bellingham would have been among the goal scorers. Now, this time it was Brahim Diaz in the first half on 27 minutes and Vinicius Jr. in the 58th minute. So just right now, Real Madrid have increased their lead. Still goalless between Salzburg and Inter Milan, goalless between Bayern Munich and Galatasaray. PSV Eindhoven still holding on to their 1-0 lead over Lens. And I believe the Copenhagen United game has just now resumed after that very controversial long first half. And Arsenal now trying to find a move forward. Jorginho sending it forward to Ben White. Saka now. Zinchenko. Jorginho. Saliba. Back to Raya. Almost missed hit pass there, which found Declan Rice. It is Trossard, who is now on the left, with Martinelli probably coming into the penalty area this time around. It's back with Zinchenko. Trossard. Martinelli now down the wing and hoping to get into the penalty area. It is with Declan Rice, who lays it off for Trossard. But this time around, he doesn't find the target at all. Also the right height, but definitely the wrong side. We've now just touched an hour in the game. It is Arsenal 1, Sevilla 0. And I think Hanno was probably hoping that tonight would be a repeat of the Arsenal Sporting game. But of course, if this game ends in a draw, it won't go to extra time. There won't be penalties. And in as much as David Raya has been very shaky this time around, there's no way that he will concede a goal from the halfway line or fail to save a penalty. A little cheap shot at Mr. Ramsdale there. And Jorginho hoping to find the pass, but intercepted rather. And it is Reges who is able to find his man, Djibril Sow, who sends it all the way down to Lamela. And that is in the penalty area, but no one on the end of that. However, it is Juanlu Sanchez who is able to get on the end of it. Juanlu against Zinchenko, and Zinchenko wins. But Sevilla still have the ball. Loic Bade, Gudelia, Jordan. And Sevilla once again trying to work with something, but their passes have not been able to find the players in question. And I think if I were Diego Alonso, I'd be saying, you know, enough is enough. Time to bring on some of the big guns. It is Fernando Reges, though. Gudelia. Kiki Salas. Bade to Jordan. I suppose whenever you think of the name Kiki, you're reminded of Kiki D, who had that duet with Elton John. And I think Diego Alonso will probably be saying to his players, don't go breaking my heart, boys. The only problem is, even though they're trying not to, they are breaking his heart. And Real Madrid are 3-0 up. I will update the scorer of that goal. Gudelia. Reges. I think that is Jordan, who is, of course, now back defending in a way. Kiki Salas. Not Kiki D, just Salas. And once again, an attempted crossfield pass, hoping to find Juanlu Sanchez, but well over his head, out for a throw. And clearly, Alonso has seen enough. It is time to bring on one of the big guns, the former Croatian Barcelona midfielder, Ivan Rakitic. Certainly, as a midfielder, he can cause more of a racket, can Rakitic. And still not lost any of his sharpness, but a possible counter-attack for Arsenal. Saka down the wing. And it's... well, yep. That goal will stand. And that is a real kick in the teeth for Diego Alonso, who was planning to bring on Rakitic. Once again, a throw-in, catching the Sevilla defense napping. And it is, in fact, Gudelia who was playing Saka onside. So brilliant work there from Saka to dispossess, pretty much sell Pedrosa a dummy. Pedrosa, of course, running back to try to help out defensively. Cutting in on that left foot of his. And no chance for Marko Dimitrovic, really. Saka 64. And now we can just hear the chant being sung. Bukayo Saka running down the wing. Seeing Arsenal win, but we still won't win the league. And Rakitic now comes on for Djibril Sow and, in fact, takes the captain's armband. And have Sevilla made another substitution? Yes. Juan Jordan has come off for Boubakary Soumare. I think Soumare, of course, is in fact French. And He was, in fact, of course, on the books at Leicester City. And a booking for Samare right away for a rather nasty-looking challenge. So the cards are starting to fly, you would imagine. And he is, in fact, on loan at Sevilla from Leicester City. Sliding in there on Declan Rice, not getting the ball, a well-deserved booking, and not the very best impact you can make having come on as a substitute. Do better, Booba. A Community Shield winner with the Foxes, who are, of course, now in the Championship, while Samare is with Sevilla and in the Champions League. The only question is, will they somehow qualify for the Europa League instead? Zinchenko to Havertz, to Saka. You get the feeling that Arsenal are now starting to really drive it home. Headed away by Sanchez. A nice shot on the volley by Zinchenko, but once again pushed away by Dimitrovic. And certainly not in the position to catch that. So you can say that that was a good reflex save from the keeper. But Arsenal are now starting to run riot. Havertz. Jorginho. Gabriel. And Samare is on the floor and play will be stopped. Although sadly there are no more comments as of yet. But once again, if any of you want to come on at least at full time to discuss some of the action having taken place today, you are more than welcome to. And pretty good shot that from Zinchenko, which caused Dimitrovic a little bit of trouble. And Dimitrovic sort of palming it away. Probably would have been best advised to punch it away. And it was Rodrigo who scored Real Madrid's third goal. And no Bellingham in the lineup tonight, although he is on the bench. And Sevilla having a tough time of it tonight, much tougher, obviously, than when they played on their home ground. Very nearly snatching a point from the Gunners late on. But this time around, the Gunners have been in cruise control. I remember predicting a 2-1 win. It looks as though Raya might have his clean sheet. Although, to be fair, Sevilla have been so toothless that Raya hasn't even had a save to make. Except, really, from a free kick, which was, straight at him. And Sevilla's passing and shooting has been pretty much off kilter tonight. A 78% pass accuracy, but that doesn't really tell the whole story. 91% for Arsenal and nearly 400 completed. This has been really a case of the midfield and the defence working perfectly. And in as much as we would have liked to have seen Arsenal score at least a couple more, I think it's fair to say that the dominance they've showed has pretty much meant that a win was never really in doubt. you can see that it's starting to get a little bit boring, and even with Rakitic on the field, I'm not too sure what Sevilla can muster up now, but there are still 20 minutes to go, so anything can happen. And Martinelli sent sprawling, and another yellow card, this time for Juanlu Sanchez. Sticking his leg there. Very cynical. Definitely not the nicest challenge there. You can clearly see that he was picked today to do a job ahead of Jesus Navas, and he hasn't exactly looked the part tonight. It is still 2-2 in Copenhagen between the home side and Manchester United. And as the scores are being refreshed, I will keep filling you in. And it looks as though there will be another substitution made. Looks as though it'll be the number 12, Mariano, coming on. And it is the substitute, Sumare, who had come on really only about 10 minutes ago, only to be replaced now by the number 12, Mariano Diaz. And so you can see Sevilla looking completely out of sorts, completely disheveled. If they can get a consolation, it will satisfy my prediction, but really that will be as good as it gets, because I really don't see Arsenal folding in this game. But chance over here for Sevilla with, well, an interesting passage of play over there with Arsenal's defence for once being caught napping. But Sevilla once again, this time, I mean, not once again, but this time now, unable to find a man in the penalty area. We will sort of replay that again, but Arsenal starting to look a little bit shaky at the back. It's around about this time that they start to act up a little bit, but you could see the substitute Mariano Diaz there, getting in behind the defender with Saliba completely mistiming the header and hoping to find the necessary, but Gabriel saving his defensive partner's blushes there by being at the right place at the right time. Zinchenko. Gabriel. Declan Rice. Arsenal need a third goal to finally end Sevilla's resistance, really. Because with about the best part of 16 minutes to go, Sevilla can still, in theory, at least find a way back. At least with Rakitic on the field, they have some hope. And certainly with Mariano Diaz looking quite lively, who knows what could happen. Martinelli. Zinchenko. I will credit Arsenal this season, who have looked the part in the Champions League, aside from that defeat to Lens. And once again, Juanlu Sanchez forced to concede a corner. Gabriel Martinelli has run his socks off down that left wing and not gotten too much. And it is, in fact, a goal kick. I'm not too sure why that's... It certainly looked to have come off Juanlu Sanchez, and clearly Martinelli was livid with that decision. More substitutions on the way for Sevilla. You would imagine that these would be the last of the evening. And Adria Pedrosa making way for the number 14, Tanguy Nyanzu. And Kike Salas being replaced by the number 5, Lucas Ocampos. So no appearance for Jesus Navas. This really has to be damage limitation now for Diego Alonso. And, you know, you really can't see them recovering from this. And Arsenal, having only made the one substitution at half-time, haven't felt the need to bring on any more. Such has been their dominance, really. I will say that there have been some moments when both Saliba and Gabriel have looked a little bit iffy, but they've always, you know, cleaned up each other's mess, and that's why they work so well as a central defensive partnership. And some pretty poor play there sees Zinchenko win the ball. It finds its way to Martinelli through Havertz, I think it was. And that will be a free kick, and Ocampos' first real action after coming on is to get himself a booking. Catching Martinelli there on his left foot. An easy decision, really, for the referee. Last season, Lucas Ocampos wore 55 as Sevilla won the Europa League. Fortunately, and perhaps thankfully, it's been whittled down to a more orthodox 5. Zinchenko now to take the free kick. He is, in fact, left-footed, so you think that if he was able to play at left back, he'd overlap a bit, but instead he ends up cutting in. Make it make sense. A nice looping free kick, and this time Dimitrovic catches it. An easy catch, really. And we are now at the halfway, not the halfway point, 12 and a half minutes to go, really, before the end of normal time, and there will be at least 2 or 3 minutes of stoppages, one would think. 2-0 to Arsenal. I really can't see them relinquishing this lead. Not exactly a very exciting game, but an effective one for Arsenal. And, of course, this win should take them up to 9 points. And, of course, if Lens had been able to win today, they would have secured their qualification. But, surprisingly, it means that with Lens and PSV to play Arsenal later on, their qualification will be delayed. It's not really been the toughest group, though, for Arsenal, and you would have to think that if and when they qualify for the second round, they will come up against a much bigger team, and that will be an Arsenal throw. More and more of a nuisance being created by Saka and company. Coming up to 80 minutes, no real substitutions have been made by Mikel Arteta. And we got an interesting comment where one Arsenal fan says that the Champions League is one of Arsenal's best chances for silverware this season, especially with, once you come to the knockout stages, anything can happen. But as I said, you have to think that Arsenal will be coming up against a really top quality team in the second round. And an attempted pass there, this time still not able to find its man, and Ocampos running hard but not able to get there. And finally, now with 80 minutes about to be elapsed, we see some substitutions being made. Fabio Vieira and Reece Nelson to come on, and one would imagine it would be to replace Saka and Martinelli, who have both run themselves into the ground tonight. It's Trossard who's going off. Trossard, of course, the goal scorer. That exquisite pass from Jorginho really set things up beautifully for Saka, laying it on a plate for the Belgian, and Trossard can walk-off. Starting tonight, of course, as the false 9, and he is replaced by the number 21, Fabio Vieira. And it is Gabriel Martinelli who is brought off for Reece Nelson. So Bukayo Saka will, in fact, play the entire 90 minutes plus stoppages, unless, of course, he is substituted. And I wouldn't go so far to say, as I've said, that this has been very exciting, and that's probably because Sevilla haven't really offered very much. It really has been after Rakitic has come on that Sevilla have started to look a little bit dangerous, and even then, Arsenal have just had the beating of them, really. We'll be interested to see what the reaction will be at full time from some of my Arsenal YouTuber friends. I'm pretty certain that Northside LDN will have a stream, as will TJ Warren and a few others. Just want to check and see how many views there have been. There is, of course, only one watching right now, but yeah, not too many views, although we'll probably find out the number of views near the end. Gareth Southgate and the crowd watching tonight, possibly to check out Bukayo Saka and possibly Ben White, definitely Declan Rice. And Saka seems to be limping. Looks as though he might have to come off too. There's always a bit of a danger with, seeing Saka play too many minutes. And of course, Northside will be having a reactionary stream at about 10:30 UK time. Sevilla now still have the ball. It is Rakitic who can try and send it forward, but once again, he still doesn't find his man. But Zinchenko inadvertently heads it into the path of Ocampos, laying it back for Rakitic into the penalty area. But once again, En-Nesyri completely isolated. He's had a really quiet night, the Moroccan. And the yellow card for Zinchenko there. Not too sure why. Take a look at that. And Reyes' kick also doesn't find its man, and it's allowed to go all the way beyond the goal line for another goal kick. We see Martin Odegaard in the stands there, also nursing an injury, but he might be quite satisfied with the way Georgie Porgy, as I disrespectfully referred to him after the Tottenham game, has led the team tonight. And of course, that pass has pretty much, been the crown on his performance. And unfortunately, Bukayo Saka will... Well, there's a lot of talking to going on there between Jorginho and the referee. And the referee once again brandishing a card. Could very well be for time wasting from the looks of it, but Bukayo Saka walking a little bit gingerly right now. Maybe Arteta should have brought him off and kept on Trossard. And it is Jakub Kiwior, the Polish international defender, who will be coming on. And so it could either be a 5-3-2 or maybe a 4-4-2 with Zinchenko in the midfield. 5 minutes to go. Really no hope for Sevilla to come back unless Arsenal completely suffer a meltdown. And there might actually be... Yeah. Once again, Sevilla making some good runs, but just showing that level of impetuousness with the ball at their feet, and a needless foul there. And Saka walking off on the side of the field to an ovation from the Arsenal fans. Jorginho, Gabriel, Nelson, back to Gabriel Magalhaes, then White. And a rather lazy little attempt at a pass there by Javier Vieira, cut off. But Sevilla really won't be able to make too much of that. And that is, in fact, sent all the way back to Dimitrovic, who finds Rakitic, sends it back to Dimitrovic. Rakitic, of course, is Croatian, while Dimitrovic is a Serb. Not that that in any way matters. And it's a yellow card for Declan Rice. We'll have to find out why. Time to go back to BBC Sport. And it was, in fact, Saka who was booked by the referee for taking too long to head off the pitch. And a huge update from the Allianz Arena. Former Spurs striker and, of course, England captain Harry Kane breaking the deadlock in Munich, heading in the opening goal from Joshua Kimmich's wide free kick. And 21st goal of the season for the England captain, of course. A lengthy VAR check for offside, but the Englishman was definitely onside. And Bayern, of course, as things stand, are cruising into the last 16 with 2 matches to spare. Manchester United are, of course, up to second. And the reason why they're up to second is because they have, in fact, taken the lead. I'm going to confirm that. Yes, it was Bruno Fernandes with the 69th minute penalty who put Manchester United 3-2 up. So the 10 men of Manchester United could possibly hold on for a morale-boosting win in Denmark. And that sends them up to second, ahead of Galatasaray, who, of course, beat them at Old Trafford. And Dimitrovic very nearly being caught out, but credit to him, he had it under control, despite Kai Havertz's intentions. Kirill. Magalhaes. Georgie. Magalhaes. Saliba. Jorginho. Magalhaes. Kirill. Back to Jorginho, who is dispossessed. And can Sevilla make something out of this? Mariano Diaz. All the way to Lamela, the ex-Tottenham player. But Gabriel heads that away, and nobody's able to back up Lamela, so that ball should be easily dealt with, and it is with Vieira, who passes it to Declan Rice. Less than 2 minutes to go, and you have to think that that really is Sevilla's match done and dusted. Rakitic once again hoping to find Ocampos with a pass, but Ocampos nowhere near that. And Bayern have now gone 2-0 up against Galatasaray, and Inter Milan have taken a 1-0 lead over Salzburg. So Inter Milan will stay second on goal difference to Sociedad, but they should look to qualify alongside the Spaniards. Inter Milan, of course, were runners-up last season, with a certain Andre Onana in goal, ahead of Samir Handanovic. And Onana is, of course, now playing for Manchester United. And once again, Sevilla trying to find a way through, but unable to. They do have a throw-in with about 40 seconds left of normal time. And this is the time now for Mohamed El Neni to come on to get a taste of Champions League football. And he replaces skipper for the night, Jorginho Frello. Be interesting to see who the captain's armband goes to, with Bukayo Saka also off the field. Good night for the Brazilian-Italian. Solid in midfield without being necessarily spectacular. Didn't make a single mistake. A well-deserved ovation from the Arsenal crowd. And it is Mohamed El Neni who runs on just as the 90 minutes elapse for the stoppage time period, which will be 6 minutes. So a generous 6-minute run out for the Egyptian veteran. Of course, despite his status as perennial Arsenal reserve, he is, of course, still an important player for the Pharaohs. A teammate, of course, of the likes of Mohamed Salah. And Dimitrovic finding Juanlu Sanchez, who has a lot of space with which to run with the ball. Finds a Campos, but that is eventually cut out for a throw, which actually goes Arsenal's way. And the domination says it all. Sevilla never had a single shot attempt to try and score. Certainly no attempts on target. Arsenal have had three attempts on target. Two of them have gone in. And you really have to say that this has been, as dominant as a performance as you want from Arsenal. Sevilla have really looked toothless today, especially with their team selection. And even when Rakitic and Ocampos came on, along with Diaz and others, you just feel really there was a case of, damage limitation. Of course, the timing of that second goal was unfortunate because Alonso was planning on bringing on Rakitic at that time, but it is what it is. El Neni's first touch, hoping to find Nelson, but cut off by Juanlu Sanchez. And it is Sanchez now who receives that ball and tries to send it forward, but that is well intercepted by Kivior, who keeps it in play quite brilliantly and finds Zinchenko. But an excellent recovery tackle there from Lamela. And En-Nesyri, however, is unable to make the most of that, and Declan Rice can come away. How wonderful would it be for Arsenal to score in stoppage time to really add some gloss to the scoreline? Could it be Kai Havertz? Nope, not with that ball control. Loic Bade coming in and intercepting him quite expertly there. Still deep in the Sevilla half, but you have to say that Sevilla won't really be in danger of conceding unless they do something really stupid. And as I say that, Rakitic ends up skying that ball out for a throw, once again hoping to find a Campos, and his passing has been completely off kilter tonight. And it certainly won't be long now before the match comes to an end. And full time at the Bernabeu, it is Real Madrid 3, Sporting Braga 0. Comprehensive performance, really, from Real Madrid, even with several of their star players on the bench. Kepa Arrizabalaga, notably, was unavailable, so it was the Ukrainian Andre Lunin who started in goal. And possible chance for Sevilla here. Mariano Diaz in the penalty area, but, well, as a matter of fact, Sevilla do win a corner. So, a dangerous time for Arsenal to concede a corner. It would be even worse for them if they concede a goal, one would imagine. A goal. Could potentially put a cat amongst the pigeons with just over 2 minutes to go. It will be Rakitic to take the corner, and that is easily headed away and quaked away by the wrong foot of Fabio Vieira. It was his right foot, but he's left-footed, so his right foot is his wrong foot. And Galatasaray have, in fact, pulled a goal back at the Allianz Arena, but you just get the feeling it might be too little too late. Still 1-0 in Eindhoven between PSV and Lens. So Arsenal should be able to go 4 points clear at the top of the group the way things stand, but PSV will be able to join Lens on 5 points. So, a claim for a handball there by Fabio Vieira. Very nearly said Patrick Vieira. This guy came from Portugal to play for Arsenal. And clearly the Sevilla fans were angry, wanting VAR to intervene. A dreadful pass from Rakitic, very nearly punished, but Sevilla somehow finds the ball, and it is Lamela on the left, up against Zinchenko, defending on the right. But Vieira is able to tidy that up, and Sevilla concede another free kick. And with the best part of a minute to go, less than a minute to go, rather, you have to think that that will be that. So I will, of course, start the process of changing the banner. "30 seconds to go, of course, before the end of the game, and a clean sheet for David Raya, despite having hardly anything to do today. Certainly didn't need to make a last-ditch punch, which very nearly bounced into his own net. And another desperate Sevilla attempted a counter, easily cut off by Declan Rice this time. I don't think there'll be enough time for Arsenal to try and get a goal that will add gloss to it. So the referee should blow his whistle any minute now. Rakitic has the ball. And Mariano Diaz, Campos. Maybe there is time for a possible Sevilla counter-attack. Juanlu Sanchez on the right, sends it into the penalty area, but headed away. And possibly a chance. And finally, Sevilla muster a shot on target through Mariano Diaz. Easily saved by David Raya. And you think that that has to be the last kick of the game. Well controlled, taking it past Mohamed El Neni, but not really getting enough directional power on the shot to trouble the Spanish keeper. And you really do have to think that that will be the last action of the game as the referee blows his whistle, and that is. And here is the full-time score from the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal 2, Sevilla 0. Leandro Trossard on 29 minutes and Bukayo Saka on 64 minutes. A wonderfully dominant performance. Some pleasantries being exchanged between Arteta and Alonso. And a satisfying performance. Very dominant. I suppose the only major nitpick is that there could have been some more goals. But I think it's fair to say that if, speaking as an Arsenal fan, if I never see Edward Nketiah starting up front again, it will be too soon. And Leandro Trossard coming into the team, starting as a false nine. There was, of course, some talk about how whenever he started for Arsenal this season, he hasn't been at his best, but he certainly did well tonight. And a huge embrace there between Fernando and Arteta. I wonder if the two of them were teammates once upon a time. Fernando Reguez, Mikel Arteta. Fernando is, of course, Brazilian. I don't think he's played for the Seleção. 30 years of age. And in fact, he was on the books at Manchester City when Arteta was an assistant coach. That explains it. That explains it. And while at Manchester City, he was a League Cup winner. He made 64 league appearances, scoring 4 goals, but never really won that much in terms of silverware. And he played most of his football under Manuel Pellegrini. Really. That was sometime probably before Pep came into the picture, maybe. No, I think because Pep actually might have joined Manchester City for the 2016-2017 season and roped in Arteta as an assistant coach. So that kind of explains it. That kind of explains it. And Fernando Francisco Reguez, a former Brazil under-20 international, but was never picked. And in fact, in 2013, he became a Portuguese citizen, applying to FIFA to change his international allegiance to Portugal. And sadly, under Article 8.1 of the statutes, he was only able to represent Brazil internationally, as he had previously played for Brazil at under-20 level and did not hold Portuguese citizenship at the time. Never picked for the Seleção and probably never will be, but a more than decent defender who enjoyed success at Porto before moving to Manchester City, and then Galatasaray, and a two-time Europa League winner with Sevilla. But apart from that, really much ado about nothing with regard to this game. And I think it is fair to say that we will, of course, now get over to Copenhagen. And, some drama over here. It looks as though Copenhagen have equalised. No, even worse for Manchester United. They've taken the lead. So what I'm going to do as a bonus is actually take you through the end of the end of play here at Copenhagen, and I'm going to find out right now who scored the third and fourth goals. It was Laraga who scored on 83 minutes, and Diogo Dalot switching off in the defence, and Lucas Laraga steaming in at the back post to meet Rasmus Falk's cross. A 6-goal thriller. And of course, with that goal being scored to make it 4-3, that has to be the winner, really. So just when you thought United had done so much hard work to pull off an impressive win, they go and concede 2 goals between the 80th and 90th minute. And that is Rooney Bagaji with that brilliant header to make it 4-3. So we're going to find out how many minutes of stoppage time will be added on here. Coming up to the last 30 seconds of normal time. Manchester United, of course, having played the most part of the game. More than half the game, of course, with 10 men. Having seen Marcus Rashford sent off. Confirmation of the other results. Inter Milan beating Salzburg 1-0. Real Madrid beating Sporting Braga 3-0. PSV Eindhoven holding on for a 1-0 win over Lens, which takes them up to 5 points. They and Lens will probably be fighting it out to see who among them qualifies alongside Arsenal. Bayern Munich holding on to beat Galatasaray 2-1. And Arsenal, of course, having completed the formality of the 2-0 win, a dominant 2-0 win. Should probably have had more goals. If they'd gotten a few more shots on target, it would have been nice, but Sevilla were lambs to the slaughter, it has to be said. And confirmation of the earlier results, a 1-1 draw between Napoli and Union Berlin after an 8-minute stoppage time period at the end of the second half. And Real Sociedad continuing their impressive Champions League group performance with a 3-1 win over Benfica. And it was, in fact, a double from Harry Kane, which saw Bayern Munich win. Cedric Bakambu scoring in the 93rd minute for Galatasaray, but it just wasn't enough. And the German champions have qualified for the next stage of the Champions League with 2 games to spare. So we have 5 minutes of added on time, of which 1 minute has just been played here in Copenhagen. I mean, not here per se, but that is where the match is taking place, of course. And Grabara, a little showmanship over there. And this defeat will be absolutely demoralizing for Manchester United if it stays that way, because they would have looked forward to going up to second in the group had they been able to win. Tragically, though, it looks as though they might end up losing, and seeing their campaign be in grave danger of fizzling out. Because bear in mind, of course, they lost to Galatasaray and Bayern Munich. And with only 3 points after 4 games, you wonder if that could be it for them. But Maguire? Ooh. Well, a brilliant snapshot on goal there from the England defender. Possible claim of a handball there, but putting his laces through that. And I think it was, I think Grabara probably did get some fingertips to that to put that, to divert that onto the bar. And you can see how close he was, but the referee did in fact spot an infringement and Maguire, in fact, has been booked for his pains. The best part of 2 minutes left, 2 minutes and 10 seconds to be frank. And can Manchester United find a heroic equaliser, or will their Champions League campaign effectively be ground to a halt? Because I want to check the tables as well. And of course, this particular result puts them down to last in the table, although as some crumb of comfort, both Copenhagen and Galatasaray do have 4 points apiece. So Manchester United are not out of the Champions League yet, but if they lose their next match, then you have to say that it is curtains for them. And I really can't see them beating Bayern Munich. Whether or not they'll beat Galatasaray will remain to be seen. But of course, Bayern Munich, a perfect record of played for, won for, goal difference of 5, easily through. Arsenal played 4, won 3, lost 1, 9 points. Eindhoven and Lens on 5 points each. Eindhoven above Lens by virtue of their better head-to-head record. I believe they drew against Lens in France and have beaten them now in Holland, so that means that they are above them. And the ball is in Manchester United's half, and they're trying to clear their lines. They now have the best part of 30 seconds to find an equaliser. Real Madrid also through to the next stage with an identical record of played 4, won 4, a goal difference of 6, but having scored 9 goals and conceded 3. Napoli look set to join them. Real Sociedad and Inter Milan comfortably sitting in first and second place, but Sociedad above them on goal difference. Head-to-head record. Oh, spilled by Gabara, but claimed at the second attempt, and you have to think that that will be that. You have to think that that will be that. And that is, in fact, that. The referee has blown his whistle, and it finishes Copenhagen 4, Manchester United 3. And a completely disappointing night for Manchester United. Not what they wanted at all. And you've got to say, really, that United pretty much dug their own grave. Defensively, at the very least. Although there will be some controversy over the sending off of Marcus Rashford. Diogo Dalot completely distraught. But while Arsenal are enjoying really good fortune right now, United are not having the best time of it. And they're going to have to try to raise their game in order to avoid seeing their Champions League campaign shudder to a halt. Some embraces being exchanged there between El Yunusi and some of the Manchester United players. El Yunusi, of course, a former Saint. And heartbreak in Copenhagen for Manchester United. And we do have another comment here. A great match and a win for Copenhagen. So, yeah, a great match and a win for Arsenal too. Atletico Madrid also, well, at the moment they are top ahead of Lazio, but only just. Lazio, of course, having beaten Feyenoord. And Celtic's, Champions League campaign is getting even worse, one would have to say. Still without a win. Borussia Dortmund are top of Group F ahead of Paris Saint-Germain. Newcastle United at the bottom, but do have 4 points, so they are not out of it yet. And AC Milan's win over PSG means that they still are very much in the hunt. But Manchester City definitely through home and dry. Played 4, won 4, goal difference of 9, having conceded 3 and scored 12. RB Leipzig looks set to join them. Really, you can't. That's confirmed. And Red Star Belgrade and the young boys will be competing for 3rd place and the Europa League playoffs. As for Group H, Barcelona and FC Porto were joint top. Shakhtar Donetsk on 6 points, and Antwerp, of course, have played 4 and lost 4. Their Champions League campaign is very much over, and it will remain to be seen if they can somehow recover to find a spot in the Europa League playoffs, or whether that will be it for them. And I guess without further ado, that's pretty much it, really. And we've been, congratulations to Arsenal bouncing back from that defeat. I think it's fair to say that Arsenal have looked good in the CL so far, and the group stages traditionally have been, kind to us more often than not. But when it comes to the knockout stages, we come a cropper. And it's funny to hear that Arsenal fan on BBC Sport Online talking about how the CL could remain a very big opportunity, because with knockout football, you just never know what can happen. And yet, we were knocked out of the League Cup with a poor performance against West Ham. And this fan has the gumption to talk about possible Champions League success. Not having any of that. Not having any of that at all. And with no one looking to join in right now, I will end the stream in the next few seconds. But I just want to say thank you very much indeed to all those of you who are here in the chat. Confirmation of the full-time result for tonight's Watchalong: Arsenal 2, Sevilla 0. So no gloating from Hanno, thankfully. And you're not going to see me lord it up either, because, we've done well, but we will have some bigger tests. And so to everyone who's joined in, IWC, Anthony Herbert, Chelsea fan, of course, and of course, Mr. Beehive, thanks a lot for joining in. Probably not the best watch along we could have done, given that there are not too many people probably watching it tonight. I will find out how many people have watched it later on. But to those of you who have joined in the chat and who joined me on the whole way through, a big up to you, Mr. B, especially. You're the ones, of course, who make this stream what it is, and you make the channel what it is, and it's always a pleasure to do things like this. I think it was a sort of a hasty decision, really, to try and do Champions League watch along. We were probably looking to do one yesterday, but just couldn't really make it happen. And thanks, as always, to Hanno for arranging this. Sorry that he couldn't join today. Obviously, Wi-Fi issues affecting him, but I'm sure he will have a lot to say about this particular game, and we might possibly talk a little bit about the about this game week in the Champions League on a later date. But as far as the English clubs are concerned, good nights for Manchester City, good night for Arsenal. As for Newcastle and Manchester United, they've got some problems to solve, and I wonder if they're going to have serious people who will help solve them, as Michael Douglas would say. But at the end of the day, all teams move forward. We've got Premiership action once again coming up this weekend, and life goes on, and so do all of us. So once again, thanks to all of you for joining in, and we will see you back again on the Coach's Corner for another program sometime soon. But for now, though, as always, thanks a lot for joining in. Take care of yourselves and stay safe and stay happy. Enjoy the rest of the week. Enjoy the remaining sports action coming up later on, and don't do anything that Hanno or I or anyone else in the chat wouldn't do. But for now, though, as always, farewell to thee And goodbye and God bless to each and every one of you. Cheers.